So this is going to be a continuation from our previous class, working with the points. Now we need to know how to draw the graphs, how to present a certain graph on a Cartesian plane. You also had this part as you were talking of the input and output values, if you still remember previously when we talked of those classes. The idea there is going to also help to draw or to represent a graph. As you have your Cartesian plane, we saw it in our previous class that you'll be having the values of x, 1, 2, 3, whatever that you are having there. And we saw that with these values that we are given, points can be marked. You can mark a point depending with what is the value of x and what is the value of y. You can mark a point corresponding to say x there is 2, y is 2. You can mark a point at any condition. So if these points are being joined, all of them, certain graphs are being constructed, or certain graphs can be drawn by joining the points that are being marked on a Cartesian plane. So what forms or what will give us a graph at the end, guys, are points. So if you do not know how to mark the points on a Cartesian plane, please do make yourself a favor to revisit the class where I talked about the plotting of points. There is no way you can draw a graph when you do not understand a point. So in order for you to have this graph, you need points. So there we are given graphs that we are going to draw. Copy and complete the table below for y is equal. So if they give you like this, you answer the way that you're given. They said copy and complete the table. So we are given the x value. This is our input, same like I was saying, guys. And the y values is your output. So what does it mean? It simply means I have to insert, to substitute the x value in this equation to obtain the y value. I have to substitute this x value here to obtain the y value. I have to substitute this x value to obtain this y value. I have to substitute this minus 1 here to obtain the y value. That is the concept. Input, getting, and output. So let's start with minus 3. When x, you are given the x, you need what? Y. So y is given by this function that we are given, the equation, which states that y is equal to x plus a 3. So everything that I put here in place of x, everything that I substitute there will give me the corresponding value of y. Anything that I put here, it will give me the corresponding value of y. So let's start with minus 4. Y is equal to x. What is x? Substitute. I talked about this substitution. So I think, guys, this is now direct. So you add that. 3, which is already there. 3 is not affected. So minus 4 plus 3 is what? This is minus 1. So y value is minus 1. What about this part? What does it mean? That's a complete point. Remember, a point is made up of x and y. So you're saying the x value is what? The y value is what? You write it as a point. Remember our previous class, we were talking of presenting these points. So they want you to have it as a point so that you can present it. So what is x? X is what? Minus 4. Okay. What about the y value? Y is minus 1. You have it as a point. Just like that. So you're going to do this, guys, throughout, substituting these values. Let's move on to another one. When x is what? Minus 3. In place of x, put minus 3 there. In where x is, put a minus 3 there. Substitute a minus 3. Plus a 3, which is there. From our calculator, minus 3 plus 3, that's a 0. You can even see, guys, 3 minus 3, that's a 0. So the y value is a 0. As a point, x versus y, x is what? Minus 3. What about the y value? That's a 0. It's a point. So you're going to do this throughout. This one, they have already calculated this for us. If you do that and try to see if it is true, let's just do that and see. What was the value of x there? It was minus 2. Let's put minus 2 where x is. Minus 2 plus 3, which is what? A 1, which is exactly what we can see here. And as a point, minus 2, 1. So that one, it's already filled for us. So let's move on to another one. When x is minus 1. Where our x is here, put minus 1. Minus 1 plus 3. So y is equal to what? Minus 1 plus 3 simply means 3 minus 1. Or just use your calculator there. With the y value is going to be a 2. As a point, x is what? Minus 1. What about the y? That's a 2. So you're going to do this, guys, throughout. All these points, you move on at this point where it is a 0. Just substitute a 0 there. 0 plus 3 is what? It's going to be a 3. So y is going to be 3. As a point, that's 0, 3. So do that, guys. Fill in everything. You move on to this. When x is being a 2, you're going to substitute where x is. You put a 2 there. On the x value, you're going to put a 2. So 2 plus 3 is what? Y is going to be a 5. 2 plus 3, that's a 5. So when this x is 2, the y value there is going to be a 5. As a point, x is what? 2. Y is 5. You move on to another one and so on. When this is a 3, you're going to substitute into that same equation where x is. This time you put a 3. So 3 plus 3 is going to give us what? A 6. So the y value there was going to be a 6. So as a point, x versus y, 3 versus 6. When x is 4, you do the same thing. You're going to add there. In place of x, we now have what? A 4. 4 plus 3. So y is what? A 7. So when x is 4, y was going to give you a 7. So that's the point, 4 versus 7, like that. So this is how you answer these questions when you are given it this way. Then after that, they want you to copy the coordinates onto the graph paper. So we're going to copy them onto the graph paper to mark the points. Plot the ordered pairs on the given coordinate system. Then join the points to form a graph. So in order for you to draw this line now at the end, you're supposed to join the points. But the first thing is to mark these points on the graph. On our graph, we need to mark this point. This is where now, guys, I talked about this. Remember, our previous class, we were focusing on marking of the points, these points. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Minus 4, minus 1. Remember, I talked about this, x versus y. So x is what? Y is what? X is minus 4, y is minus 1. Where do we have x being minus 4? Minus 4. Where do we have y being minus 1? Here. So where are they going to meet? Minus 4, minus 1. They meet here. Where they meet, that is where you are supposed to mark a point. So that's our minus 4, minus 1. Minus 3 is 0, another point. X is the one that is given. Remember what I said? If the y or if any value is a 0 there, mark the one that is given there, minus 3. Minus 3 represents what? X. Go straight at x at minus 3. This is where our x being minus 3. Remember your x-axis. You mark there. You're done. Minus 2, 1. X is minus 2. Y is 1. X is minus 2. Y is 1. They do meet here. Where they meet, you mark a point. Remember, guys, this issue of marking points, I hope now it's clear from our previous class. That's the point, minus 2, 1. Minus 1 versus 2. X is minus 1. Y is 2. Where are they going to meet? Here. That's where they meet. Where they meet, you mark a point. Minus 1 versus 2. 0 versus 3. X is not given. X is at 0. So you focus with what is given, the Y value. The Y value there. Y is what? 3 here. The Y value, that's where you mark. 1 versus 4. X is 1. Y is 4. So X is 1 here. Y is 4 here. Where are they going to meet? They're going to meet here. Where they meet, that's where we mark the point. So that is the condition, not this one, but the point there where they meet. 2 versus 5. X is 2. Y is 5. They're going to meet if you go up like this. They're going to meet somewhere there. Where they meet, you're going to mark a point there. 2 versus a 5. So this is how you just play around with these guys. 3 versus 6. X is 3 here. Y is 6 here. Going up. 3 there, going up. 6 going this side. You see that they're going to meet at that point. Where they meet, you mark your point. Where they meet. That is the condition, all right? So here, this one, they meet here. 4 versus 7. X is 4. Y is 7. So you're going to go up with 4. 7, they were going to meet here. So the question was to mark these points, to copy coordinates. Then on number C, we are supposed to join the points to form a graph. So that is where we are drawing now. Using your ruler, you can join these. Remember, as we can see it, guys, these points, they form what? A straight line. Also the type of the equation there. Remember this, a linear. So as we join them, they will form a straight line. But even if you do not know, but you can see that by joining these points are linear. As you can see, guys, they follow a linear pattern. They follow a linear pattern. So just gonna use a line there. Okay, so let's just have these to join these points. So that is it, guys. Just gonna join from here to here, all these points that we are given. So it was going to look like this after joining your points. This is what you're going to have at the end. So they are saying, join the points to form a graph. So this line that we have drawn is the one that is representing these points that we indicated. They form a straight line. So it's a graph that we have drawn. A graph of what? Y is equal to x plus. Remember, the graph of y is equal to x plus is the one that gave us these points. And these are the points that we marked here. So they are points for what? Y is equal to x plus 3. So meaning to say this graph, this line is for y is equal to x plus 3. That's how we can see this. So I want you to revise as much questions, guys. Do your revisions as much as you can. Then on the other part, they're saying, D, the ordered pair 1, 6 is not on the graph because when we substitute 1 of x, which is 1, in the formula, y is equal to x plus 1, we get 4 instead of 6. So this is how you can tell whether a point, which is an ordered pair, that it is on graph or does it lie on a graph. If you check what was happening here, I want you to see. When you're substituting this, -4, you got -1. -3, you got a 0. -2, this one. -1, this. So these points, they are ordered like they maintain each other from this graph. To say a point is on a graph, it must satisfy its equation, the one that you're given there, the conditions there. If I substitute the y value, I must get the x. If I substitute the x, I must get the y value. That is what it means. Okay, that is what it means. So here the question is the ordered pair of 100 versus this 103 on the graph? Explain. Okay? They're saying if there were points like what we can see, if this graph was going up like that, going, there is a 100 there. Well, were we going to have 100 and 103 being marked on this graph? Was it going to be possible? You just have to test. Okay? 100, that is our point, versus 103. That is what you're given. This represents the x value. This represents the y value. If truly this point lies or is found on this line, if I put the x value where x is on this equation, I must get the value of y, which is what? Which is 103. Let's try and do that, okay? So let's try and see. So remember, y is equal to x plus 3. Let's substitute the x value. We act as if this one is not there. Ignore the y value. Act as if it's not there. This one. Act as if you are not given. Just assume as if it's not there. You are given x. How are you going to calculate the y value? You're going to substitute x there. So y is equal, in place of x, you are going to put this 100 where x is 100 plus a 3. Y is equal to what? Let's add 100 plus 3 is what? It's 103, which is exactly what we have here. So therefore, truly, this point is on graph. It is on the line or on the graph. Truly, it is giving us exactly what we are given there. If it does not lie, guys, you are not going to get the same answer. Let's say they want you to see if the 0.15 does lie. Let's see. Does this point lie on this graph? Do we have this point on the graph? We just have to test x, ignore the y value, work with the input. Remember your idea of the input. You input your x to get the y. So y is equal to what? X plus 3. So I must input something here for x to get the y value. And what is our x? Our x is 1. 1 plus 3 is equal to what? 1 plus 3 is equal to 4, not a 5. Meaning to say this point is lying to us. It is not found on this graph because it is not giving what x is supposed to give us when we substitute it. If we substitute x, we are getting a 4. Meaning to say the point 1, 4, 1, when x is 1, y is the one which lies on the graph, not this one. So this one is not found on the graph. Is not found on the graph. We cannot have this point on the graph. You will never have that point. So that is how you test your point. It's just a matter of substitution, guys. Do not even be scared whenever they are testing you this type, whenever they're asking this type of a question. Does this point lie on the graph or what? No, don't be scared. Don't be scared. So with the same situation, we are seeing that we have another type of a graph. The way that is written now, copy and complete of this formula, y is equal to what this time? Y is equal to x squared plus 3. Take note, x squared plus 3. So every x value must be squared. Then we add a 3. So that is the whole situation of this question. So you're going to have y is equal to x squared plus 3. Let's start with the first one. X is what? Minus 4. So in place of x, where x is, you put what? You put the value of x there, where x is here. X, the x is the one that we want here. X is the one that we want. So let's start with the first one. X is what? Minus 4. So you're going to put it like this. Minus 4 squared. Take note. There's a square, so put a bracket there. Then you square this. Plus a 3. So what are we going to have? So this one is now use of your calculator. Minus 4 squared means minus 4 times minus 4, which is 16. Then 16 plus 3 was going to give you 19. So the y value there is 19. And as a point, just like what we saw, guys, x versus y. So x is what? Minus 4. What about the y value? It is 19. Just like what we had before, you are going to do the same thing. When x is minus 3, you put it there. Where x is, you substitute open a bracket because there is a square there. Whatever that you put there must be raised to the power of 2, to the exponent of 2. Then we add a 3. Minus 3 squared, that is minus 3 times minus 3, a positive 9 plus 3. 9 plus 3 is what? That's a 12. So the value there will be a 12. As a point, x is what? Minus 3. What about the y value? A 12. So already here they calculated the same way for us. So you're going to move on to another part. Minus 1. In place of x, you're going to put minus 1 this time here. Minus 1. So it was going to be 1 plus 3, which is a 4. So the y value there was going to be a 4 as a point. Minus 1 versus 4. Okay? You do the same thing if the x value is this time a 0 there. As we can see, where x is, now it's a 0 there. So it was going to be 0 squared plus 3, which was going to give you a 3. So that's as a point 0 versus what? 0 versus 3. You do the same thing, okay, when 2 is representing x, place of x 2. So that's 2 squared plus a 3. So y is equal to what? 2 squared, that will be 2 times 2, 4 plus 3, which is 7. You can even just use your calculator there. So it was going to be 2 versus a 7. So I want you to do that. As many questions, answer this up to the end. So you do the same thing. When this is a 3, you're going to substitute and you're going to get a 12. So it was going to be 3 versus a 12. You do the same thing for a 4. You are going to get a 19, and that was going to be 4 versus what? 19. So I want you to complete using your calculator. You're going to notice that you're having those answers there. All right. So this is it. We now have our points. After that, just like our previous question, on the graph, copy the axis system, then plot the points on the axis, join the points to form a graph. So you're going to join these points. First, let's mark our points. Minus 4 versus 19. As we had before, guys, x is what? Minus 4. X is at minus 4. It's going to be too small. Let's see. But x is minus 4 here. And if you check the 19 there on top there, the 19 here. So these two, they're going to meet there on top. Minus 4 versus 19 there on top. Where they meet is where we put, where we plot that. Minus 4 versus 19. Minus 3 versus 12. X is minus 3 and y is 12. They meet here. Where they meet, that's a point. Minus 3 going up and 12 being positive. Minus 2, 7. Minus 2 versus a 7. Minus 2 going up, a 7. This side they meet here. Where they meet, you mark a point. Minus 1 versus 4. This is minus 1 and a positive 4. Sorry, minus 1 and a positive 4. So a positive 4 is here. You mark your point there. 0 versus 3. Remember I said once there's a 0 there, focus on the other one, the y value. The y is the one that is given at 3. Mark direct at y is equal to 3 here. Then we move on. 1 versus 4. X is 1, y is 4. They meet here. Where they meet, you mark a point. Positive 1 for x, positive 4. 2 versus 7. All these are positive. 2 for x, 7 for y. They meet here. Where they meet, it's a point. 2 versus a 7. They meet there. Same way, you're going to mark 3 and 12. So 3 and 12, we're going to meet here. That is where you're going to have a point. And also 4 and 19. The 4 there and the 19 was going to be here, somewhere there. Just like that. So you just have to be careful as you are marking these points. And after marking your points, what are you going to do? You have to join. That is what you're given. Join the points. So these are your points. So as you can see, it's no longer a straight line like what we had there. So you cannot use a ruler to join to say this one to this point. We use a ruler. This one to this point. We use a ruler. This one to this point. No, it cannot work like that. So there, you must use freehand and draw a smooth curve So it is supposed to be a curve this time. A curve is drawn using what? A smooth, and you're gonna use freehand to draw this smooth curve. So here, guys, I'm not gonna have exactly how smooth it's supposed, but I want you to have a smooth curve here because of these softwares, guys. But as for you guys, I expect you to have something that is smoother than this. All right, something like that. So you're going to have your graph like this. Are you seeing it's no longer a linear? It's a curve that you're having there. Okay, just like that. You can even write the name y is equal to x squared plus 3. So let's revise as much as we can. Then another question, just like what we had before, they want you to tell if is the point 10 versus 103 on the graph. Explain. So you just do the same thing like what we had. Remember, our graph is of what? Y is equal to x squared plus 3 as we are given. This is the equation. So you just have to substitute the x value. 1 point, ignore the y value. Like I said, guys, before, you ignore the y value, this one, as if it's not there. You substitute the x value because a point is made of x and y. So x is what? It's 100. You substitute that x where x is and see if you are going to get 100. If you substitute your x being 10, are you going to get 103? So 10 squared is 100 and 100 plus 3 is 103, which is giving us exactly what we are given there. Thus, truly, this point, it lies. It is on the graph. It is on the graph. It satisfies the equation if you substitute that. So let's do revise as much questions as we can, please. That can be very helpful in this term. It's a term of revision. It's a term of revision. This term, you must do as many question papers. This term, you must try by all means to also have a recap of your term 3, of your term 2, and your term 1, so that you can be able to master your exams at the end. So let's do revise, like I said, till we meet.